This is a podcast unlike any other in the respect that the characters that are depicted are not real. In fact, even your host is not real. And yet, here I am. Do you see the sign ahead of you? You have just entered the Twilight Zone. Not. However, you have entered the insane truth zone of man's misconceptions of a woman's misperceptions. Here, the incredible real-life events and situations that happen are true, creating what we're calling rules, more accurately called the insane truths of relationships. Understand, any and all names and locations have been altered so that no one can be identified. The views expressed in this podcast are those of the podcast host and not of any staff, affiliate, or guest. At no time is disrespect to any gender or race in any context accepted or tolerated. This podcast is for entertainment, enlightenment, education, and speaking insane truth in a world that sells us lies 24 hours, 7 days a week. Will we have all the answers? No. You see, men are just as off as any woman could ever be, and many times it's only because we just don't understand each other. If you find all the answers, you have found the ultimate truth. But until then, welcome to man's misconceptions of a woman's misperceptions. The life I thought was never the life as I thought it was. For the life that was only a dream that was another's nightmare. I am told it was all a lie to all but me who truly believed in the reality of the dream. So which is the reality? Could they be the same, just looked at from changing perceptions? Or has the nightmare taken over, changing forever my reality of what was and is? This podcast has been produced typically for men. However, if you are a woman and any of these rules are happening in your relationship, you have truly missed out on one of the biggest relationship-altering pieces of information in your life. There is a series that has been on TV called Yellowstone. In this show, a very strong female character states that a woman owns 50% of everything her husband has, and more importantly, 100% of the trim. Ladies, if a man is not interested in your attention and is not treating you like you are a priority in his world, drop him. Keep your 100%, take his 50, and start again. Find a good man, treat him well, respect him, be intimate, never stop leaning on each other. Do not let anyone or anything come before you. Don't let anger turn into bitterness or resentment. And for the love of God, never put your husband or boyfriend through anything like what is in this podcast. Okay, Ekmar, that's a take. How we doing up there? Ekmar. 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 What do you want, Gregory? I am busy up here. Ekmar, listen, we're doing the show. You have to pay attention, okay? I understand that, Gregory. I'm trying to figure these things out. If you could wake up, I would really appreciate it, He's really beginning to piss me off. I mean, all he does is sit up there and do nothing.
Whatever.
You see what I'm talking about? This is the kind of crap I get from him. Ekmar, stop. We're doing the show, okay? Right in the middle of taping. Let's go back to it, shall we? Folks, if you're listening, sorry about that. We have some communication problems sometimes in the studio here, but it's all good. I just wanted to let you know the following are some of life's relationship rules that may or may not be applying to your life, okay? Every person and every situation is different. These rules or lessons, however you want to look at it, were learned and lived through over years and years of relationship mistakes, miscommunications, abuse, stupidity, hypocrisy, and or just perhaps the reality of life's hard relational truths. They're not meant to be taken in the context of all relations unless it applies to your situation. Whether or not these rules are right or wrong are not the concern of anyone unless they apply to you. What is put forth in this podcast is only a collection of ways to possibly get through impossible and difficult situations if not followed that would end very badly. For the record, most, if not all, of these rules are bullcrap. Yeah, I said it. And although I lived through each and every one, I find myself at odds with them. I was going to write and do this podcast in a different style, only because I thought it was completely crazy. But you know what? We're going to handle it this way because the stupidity to follow these rules to survive in a relationship needs to be taught to all men to run away from. You see, each rule has its own story and situation that wrote and created the rule. No one should ever have to have these rules. However, peace does come at a price, and any man in a relationship will tell you, and even some women, the real question is, are you willing to pay it? And is it truly worth the price? So at the end of the day, be better than these rules, making these rules a simple exercise of futility. Love, laugh, and work through each difficulty that will threaten to sink your relationship. Ekmar, did you get that? I got that, Gregory. It's all looking good up here. Very good. Well, let's go into the single parent rule. You know, rule number 1 is the single parent, meaning that the spouse stays home and cares for the children is always considered a single parent and the only real parent in the relationship or marriage. Now, if you didn't understand it, let me explain it this way. The spouse that works outside the home, that is not considered to be a parent because they give no contribution in raising the children except for money. Now, come on. You're telling me that isn't a line of crap? You know, after many years of marriage, I was told this. You see, I had been married once before and had some children and then had more children with another woman. Then, long story short, all of a sudden, I'm being told that I'm never there. I'm constantly working. The problem is, as we all know it, someone has to bring in the money of the house. Someone has to. Now, most of the times these days, both spouses work. So there is no issue when it comes to this. And if you have a respectable people that are together, then they work together through these things. And in the beginning, it is that way. In the beginning, things are always nice and rosy, and everybody thinks it's going to stay like that. The problem is, at times, if you don't work on it, and all the time, if you don't work on it, it will not stay that way. You see, I had a father that raised me up the old school way, to believe that it was the man's responsibility to take care of the family, that it was his ultimate responsibility to stand up, to take care of the family, to have that job, to provide the money, to provide the food, to provide the insurance, to provide the vehicle, to provide the home. All these things were on the man's shoulders to do. Now, the woman could come in and contribute to that and lay it all out there also. And that was a wonderful thing. But ultimately, it was the man's responsibility at the end of the day. However, as the years went by and this was happening, I soon found out that she was a single parent and that I wasn't even a parent. I wasn't even considered a parent. It didn't matter what I had done. Men, if you're running into this situation, you need to put a stop to it now. No matter where it is, no matter how far along this has been going on, it needs to take a stop. Young men, if this is beginning to happen, stop it immediately. The sooner you put a stop to this kind of thought, the better. Because the problem is, she may be acting out of desperation because maybe you're not doing something you're supposed to do. Men, you have to step up and you have to be that parent. You have to step up. You have to be there for those children. You have to be there for your woman. You have to be there for your spouse. That's what you have to do. That is your job. Your job is not only to go out and make the money. Your job is not only that responsibility, but your job is also the responsibility to be that spouse, to be that parent, to be that father. If you are a man, that's what you do. You know, I've heard that there's a lot of men out there that walk away from their relationships and walk away from their fatherhood. Let me tell you something. Those aren't men. Those are males. It takes a man to be a dad. That's what it takes. It takes a man to be a true husband that takes care of his children and does what he's supposed to do. That does not mean just making money. That does not mean just providing them with insurance. It means providing them with you. You being there, you being present, and you contributing to the house and to the good of the family. However, in my case, it appeared that my wife at the time decided that she was a single parent and that I had not been there, according to her. Imagine my surprise. I had not been there. Folks, that's not what happened. And that's not how it was. And is what I'm telling you is this, men, if you're running into this situation, recognize it for what it is and do something about it. That's all I'm saying. Because this kind of thought process cannot make a relationship last. And no matter how long that you let it just lie and let it be there and let it lay dormant and try to just ignore it, if that kind of relationship mentality is going on in the other spouse's head, it's just going to get worse and the bitterness and resentment will build. Gentlemen, take care of the situation now before it gets worse. You know, in my country, we would never do that kind of thing, you know. My place of birth, we didn't think of those things like that, you know, Gregory. I don't understand. Ekmar, what are you talking about? I'm telling you now, I've been married for at least, I don't know how many years, but the point is, we never have done that kind of thing, you know. We were both victims, you know, victims of the place of my birth. We never had the things. Ekmar, stop. We'll talk after the show, okay? Okay? All right, now listen.
Whatever.
I see, don't start it. I don't know what he's doing. Why does he talk to me that way? Ekmar, stop. Ekmar, cut the mic off. The mic. Okay, folks, sorry about that. We cut off their mics, so now we can go back to this. My point is this. The single parent rule should never be in a relationship. So work it out. Okay? That's how these rules are. All right, guys? These rules, all of them, and there's 51 of them, just to let you know. And we're going to go through each one. And every time we do, they're going to get more and more crazy. This one, there wasn't a lot on, but I could not believe when it happened to me. And guys, if it's happening to you, fix it now before it's too late.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
That was my engineer, Maggie. She stops in every once in a while to make sure we're okay. And without her, this podcast would not be possible. So, my thanks to Ekmar Lengado today. IC Williams, even though he didn't do much. Yes, hi Ekmar. Yes, I can hear everything you're saying. Actually, folks, he's been cut off. Thank goodness. So until next time, folks, it's been good speaking to you. This is Gregory E. Cook, the host of Man's Misconceptions of a Woman's Misperceptions. I'm telling you right now, hang on, because it's going to be a wild, fun ride through these rules. Each one gets more and more bizarre. Believe it, I lived through each single one. I look forward to talking to you again. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me.